everyone for staying tuned with us and coming back to our conversation with Ms. Kai Harris from Face Off Theater. We're so lucky to have her today. Kai, a couple of things that I want to kind of review with you today as we're continuing, our discussion is, with the time that you've been with the company, how would you describe the kind of material that Face Off chooses for their season? And for yourself personally, as a writer and an artist, how has that material challenged you and possibly challenge the audiences that it speaks to?
Great question. I love the way that we select material at Face Off. I think first things first, we are always trying to be aware of what's going on in the world around us, what's going on in the country, what's going on in our community, because we want to be producing work that speaks to that. We are always trying to do something that is going to be meaningful, that is going to spark conversation, that will hopefully spark change. So that's always at the forefront of our minds. I also appreciate that we are very inclusive with each other as we're selecting material. Every single company member gets a say in what we're going to be producing each year. And we're always, keeping our kind of, what's the phrase, nose to the ground or ears to the ground? What do you keep to the ground?
Ears to the flow, or, something like that.
Whatever you keep, wherever you keep it, we're all trying to do that constantly to stay up to date with what's coming out, what's being produced elsewhere, what effects those productions are having on audiences, and then trying to bring stuff here that we feel like we can produce this. We have the crew for it, we have the manpower for it, we have the passion and the desire for it, and we bring it. And we all work together in that process. We're always choosing material, like I said, that's relevant, that's going to spark discussion. One part of our format that I really appreciate is that at the end of each of our shows, we have a talk back with our audience where they have an opportunity to engage with the people who put on the production, whether that be the playwright, the director, the actors. They get an opportunity to ask questions, to discuss what topics were coming up for them and how those things are making them feel. So it's a community dialogue, and that is possible because of the type of material that we select. A good example of this is last year we did a production by a local playwright, a Black woman, Denise Miller, called A Ligature for Black Bodies. Very powerful piece that talked about police brutality, Black Lives Matter. It actually included characters. It included as characters real people who have been killed due to police brutality, such as Tamir Rice, Sandra Bland. There were about 4 different characters. And through the play, the idea is that these characters are given the voice that was taken away from them. And so it was a very powerful play and just a representation of the work that we are trying to do in terms of bringing light to current events, things that are going on, things that are issues in our community, and then giving our audience space to dialogue and talk about those things.
Absolutely. Yeah. And when you talk about bringing it, to the space, I think it's really important to remind folks that this is the work that we bring to the stage, and we've been bringing it for a while now, right? And it's great that this is such a crucial time that we're in, that we can actually continue to seed in people and bring in people and make sure that they're coming into our community so that they're part of those talkbacks. They get to be part of those audiences that, we're hoping to support. So, for you, how, with the position that you're in too as well, how has this, and for a writer, for yourself, how has this material, it's kind of hard when you're doing your job and you know, sometimes it kind of takes away from actually really feeling the work because you're trying to do other busy work. But you just as a writer with the material that we've been working with, is there any play in particular that's been your favorite that we've done thus far?
Ooh, you put me on the spot. Let me think. You know what? There was a piece called Dreaming, and that one was one of my favorites. It was a lot of like Black girl magic, kind of, you know, very joy filled. It was just three women on stage having a good time. There was music, there was laughter, there was dancing and movement. I really loved that piece because one thing that has been brought to my attention a lot as a writer is the ways in which we are balancing both showing, you know, the trauma and the suffering and the oppression that we experience as Black people, but also the joy and the fun and the laughter that we experience as Black people. I think sometimes it can be very heavy to always have to live in the hard part of the Black experience. Right. And for us, I think it's a breath of fresh air to be able to step out of that and say, you know what, there's another side to this coin. Like historically, even back in slave narrative, you know, you could be reading a slave narrative and reading about oppression and people being whipped and enslaved people being treated poorly, but there's always joy there too, right? The enslaved people that are writing these narratives are also clear to show the family structures that were being created, the traditions that were being made, the culture that was being developed. Yeah. So that's something for me as a writer, I think that I've been dealing with a lot, and Face Off has helped me to explore that, and also just really considering and being conscious about my role as a writer, as a creative of color. You know, Face Off has made me, you know, wake up and pay more attention. I already thought I had woken up and was paying a lot of attention. And it's even, you know, it's even more so just, you know, being aware of things that are going on around me, being aware of what we need to bring to the forefront, figuring out where we fit into all of this. I feel like I've never been more active in my community in this way than I have been with Face Off.
That's whoa, woo! Got to hold on to my chair because that is back there. That's amazing. Yeah. That's amazing. And what I'm hearing too from that is being in a space where you're not apologizing, right? You're not your Face Off is not apologizing for the work that they put out there with their season. You as a writer, as you said, have learned to be honest and not apologizing for who we are as a culture. The good, bad, the ugly, and everything else, the laughter, the joy, the pain. And I think that's—
And you know what else? Being in a space where there's more than just one of you, you know? Like, I'm used to being in theater settings where I was the Black voice. That's a lot of pressure. Sometimes you want to be in a space where there are other Black voices, and together we can say, you know what? Here's how we want to represent this. But none of us is looking to each other to say, well, you're the authority on Blackness, you know, how should this go? Instead, we have all of our experiences and we're pulling that together. And it's just such a safe space. It just feels so comfortable and freeing to be able to work together in that way.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so much fun.
Fun. We have a lot of fun.
These interviews and these discussions are so great because number one, they just show us, you know, a different kind of light in terms of, you know, who we are, and also people get to know who's behind, you know, the Face Off, you know, so which is fantastic. So good. So please, everyone, stay with us. And if you're coming in just now, or you might have to pop out, that's totally fine. This is our virtual event. We're here with Kai Harris from Face Off Theater, and we're super excited to have you come on board into our next conversation. Please stay tuned.